I always drink my coffee from the same mug, not because it tastes better, not because it's special, but because it was already on the counter. At the moment I decided this was my day. Every other mug feels wrong, not incorrect, just as if I'm overlooking something that might matter later. Rationally I know a mug is a mug. Caffeine stays caffeine, the day won't change, but my hand doesn't hesitate. We call these habits as if they're preferences, small rituals, harmless repetitions. But much of what we call habit is fear that learned how to behave. I always put on my left shoe first. I check whether the door is locked again and sometimes again. Not because I think it's open, but because leaving without that gesture leaves too much space. I reread messages before sending them, not for what they say, but to feel whether they sound safe. Not illogical, not necessary, but reassuring. The Romans called it superstitio, actions performed, not because they work, but because the alternative contains too much freedom. Seneca wrote that people would rather follow a meaningless ritual than admit they have no control over what may happen to them. The gods were unreliable, life was too. So you made offerings, not out of belief, out of fear. We still do this, we just call it structure. We knock on wood, we avoid certain days. We wear clothes that work, we open apps in a fixed order, as if deviation carries consequences no one wants to name out loud. I know someone who never listens to a voicemail on the day it arrives. Something will happen, she said, she didn't know what. That's the moment a habit stops being a habit and becomes an agreement you don't remember signing, or with whom. Psychologists call it illusory control, the feeling that your behavior influences something that is in reality random. But that term is too clean, too comforting. What it really means is this: if I keep doing this, I don't have to feel how little ground there actually is. I have my own rules, not written down, stored in my head, things that are not allowed, saying certain sentences out loud, sharing twins too early, finishing particular thoughts. Not because I believe they cause things, but because I know what it feels like when nothing seems to rest on anything. So I knock on wood, sometimes figuratively, sometimes literary. The strange thing is, the more rational people are, the subtler their rational habits become. They laugh at superstition, that obey their own internal rules without ever asking who put them there. Not superstition, they say precaution, but precaution without function is just fear that organized itself. Irrational habits don't disappear once you see them for what they are. That's the mistake. You can know exactly that it's nonsense and still keep doing it, because stopping means walking one moment without a handrail, and sometimes that moment feels more dangerous than holding on for a lifetime. Just something, you know, makes no sense. Maybe our strangest rituals aren't attempts to control life, but small negotiations with the unknown. I'll do this, and you stay calm for a bit, and usually nothing happens. that proves nothing, but it reassures until someone asks, why do you do that? And you notice you're searching for an answer that no longer has an explanation underneath it. You do it, because you do it. And because letting go means admitting that nothing protects you except yourself. And even that, only temporarily.